If you're a person that has a propensity for the dark side, then this business lends itself to being,
Dark.
very dark. Like you've
Yeah.
got a lot of talent in the business that don't necessarily know what the standards are, etc. And maybe it's easy to take advantage of them. There's a great opportunity, but you have to sign this horrible contract in order to be part of this.
Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to be here in the poker room. Where are we? It's amazing. It's the first podcast ever done because it's opening in a few hours. The Venetian Resort in Las Vegas, the poker room, and we're blessed to be a partner of the greatest poker room I've ever been in. Yay. And with the greatest friends I've ever had. And hopefully this will be the greatest podcast we've ever done. And we have a good shot at it because our guest, Landon Dirickson, is here with us. He and I share something in common. We are both agents. And in the entertainment and sports world, it's a most misunderstood profession. If we said I'm a doctor, people could kind of figure out what we do. But unfortunately, because of the movie that was made about my first mentor, being CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, movies like that have portrayed sports and entertainment lawyers, agents in a certain way. And so I'd love to start off, because you are one of the most successful agents in our country and you deal with some of the greatest athletes and entertainers that I know. What is it really like for those kids out there that want to be Jerry Maguire? What is it really like? What do you actually do as a sports and entertainment lawyer?
Mainly, I do a lot of reading contracts and saying, no, we're not going to agree to that. We'll put this language in here instead. It's a lot of contract negotiation, and
to that end, right? So, and I'm glad you answered that because that's what I didn't like about it. And then everybody wanted my job, and I don't know if you really knew what my job was, but what I did like about it was, in Lee's probably the greatest sports lawyer I've ever met. He understands contracts. He built the collective bargaining agreement for the owners because he understood the law and the contract so well. But we talk about impact. If you make one subtle success or subtle error in an agreement when someone's making $100 or $200 or $300 million on that contract, it can change their life.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I wanted to partner with you, because I know thousands of agents, is I'm always looking for the Lee Steinbergs in the world, the ones that and there was only one NBA agent, for example, that put the COVID clause into his client's agreement. Only one agent had in there a pandemic clause that he would still get paid fully if there was a pandemic. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Huge deal.
And so you're one of those sports agents and entertainment agents that see that. Is that intentional, or you just was a good law student and that just comes naturally?
I think I had a lot of good mentors coming up in the business. Definitely a student of the law, good law student, was on the law review, etc.
Like Lee. I wasn't, by the way. Which is why, as a CEO, I wasn't really reading contracts. I was negotiating them. Then he had to deal with all my shit.
But yeah, I think just a student of making a great contract, and really enjoyed that part of the business,
Well, I was going to say, I would imagine in what you do, there has to be an ability to recognize talent, because especially like with Lee as well, you can't just take on anybody and everybody, especially
even
if you
though they
want to
all want an agent.
Even though they all want an agent, and you could probably provide services for anyone that you truly wanted. So what is your process, or what are some things that are important to you in taking on a client and recognizing talent?
Yeah, great question. I think that, like in the entertainment side of the business, for example, there's always an indescribable quality that someone has. Like they just have that thing where they can walk into a room and they can connect with every single person. They just have the whole room in the palm of their hand. And that's really rare to find. But when you find that, you want to take that person under your wing. And
that's like that star quality a little bit. Yeah.
I think that's cool, but there's another part that I found in entrepreneurship, in business, that a lot of Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Warren Moon, Oscar Vander, Lennox Lewis, Sabathia Ramirez, all of the different greats that we represented way back when at Lee Steinberg, and it's a desire that you must be what you can be. So there's some people that may not be as talented,
Right.
but they just have this, what it takes, this desire that they must be what they can be. I think is more apparent charisma, and that this person lights up a room when they walk in. But do you have a formula of determining whether they have what it's take to handle all the no's to
Right.
get to those type of contracts?
I mean, yeah, I think, and you develop this as you get more experience in the business, but I think one rule of thumb is like I can't want it more for the person than they want
Welcome
it
to
to
Coaching.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that
Like-
that is a very familiar
It's
feeling.
like the
I've
most
told
painful
people.
thing in
It's
the
so
world
painful.
for
Yeah.
employees and coaching
Oh,
clients
we're
of
like, we
mine.
want you to have this, but yeah, they don't want it as bad.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, good point.
I have found myself in that position where, I'm helping put together a plan or whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, it's time for the plan to be activated, and the person's, they've gone missing.
Well,
It's like,
I have a-
where are they?
I have a
gone dark.
rookie question. So it's a two-part question, but the
I'll
first
do
part.
your rookie contract.
Yeah, you can do that. Well, you can answer this as
Talent
well.
agents.
What's the difference then between a manager and an agent?
Ooh,
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So manager does not procure employment. They manage the career. An agent is someone that helps go out and procure employment. They book tours. They get endorsement deals.
And where there's a little bit of a dark side. I mean, every single one of us has met someone who's like, oh, my kid or myself, I went out to LA or I went out to Nashville and I was going to make it, and then I got a bad deal with my manager or a bad deal with my agent. You are somebody, what strikes me, what I love about you is you're like, listen, I'm advocating for them. But where does that dark side come in? Are there just people that are taking advantage of talent and then they're lining their own pockets?
I think it's if you're a person that has a propensity for the dark side, then this business lends itself to being
Dark?
very dark.
And
Like,
real estate and
Right.
judges
you've
and
got
politicians.
you've got a lot of talent in the business that don't necessarily know what the standards are, etc. And maybe it's easy to take advantage of them. There's a great opportunity, but you have to sign this horrible contract in order to be part of this opportunity.
Well, that goes like even to your mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. For Lacey and I, we want to make sure that the world's best providers in the service world, which I would consider entertainers to be a service provider, are known, because the best in every discipline are unknown simply because they don't have either access or embrace the concepts of marketing and sales. So the best healers of the world, nobody knows who they are. But what's crazy is probably the same thing in your field. The best entertainers, the best musicians, nobody knows who they are because some manager or agent got a hold of them
Mismanaged
and then
them.
tucked them away in Tupelo, Mississippi,
Which is
playing
why
at some...
American Idol and those shows are so great, right?
Right.
That's what they set out to do,
Yep.
right? Is
Right.
uncover that.
But I want to hit the mission as well, because it's so interesting, because what's obvious in sports and entertainment law as an agent is you're going to make, if you're good at it, you're going to make a lot of money and have a lot of fun. Because you're around, usually people like sports and entertainment and you're going to be around it. But it's the middle part of my mission that makes the difference. It's the reason I wanted to be the CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. Every single one of my clients had to have a purpose or a cause tied into their contract. So a portion of their income had to go to a purpose or a cause, or we weren't going to represent them. Very rarely do I find an agent who does the exact same thing and also pours their own money into charitable purposes and causes and spends so much time and attention. Why is that so important to you? I've done probably 5 different charitable events with you, and you've shown up to another 5 just in the last year, where you have no self-interest. It's all about everyone else.
I think for me, it's about providing opportunity to people that don't have opportunity. It's about providing hope to people that don't have any hope. I've been fortunate to have been provided opportunities that maybe I didn't deserve or whatnot. And I think for people that have been blessed to have those opportunities, you have an obligation to give back to your community and do for others as you've been done, as others have done to you. And that's something that's very important to me. So I feel like if you are giving back, you are able to receive more.
I love it. What part of for both of you, of being an agent is being a babysitter?
How much of the job, you mean?
How much is that coming? Because you have your client's best interests at heart. Sometimes they just don't know how to navigate the world. They're younger, newer. You have seen in both of your cases a lot of how the industry operates. Easy for them to get sucked into the nightlife or all of the troubles that exist on the horizon. I'm sure that you try to mentor them to avoid the pitfalls, but then oftentimes I'm sure that they step right into that bear trap themselves.
Yeah, for me, I think I've been fortunate to select clients that don't need a lot of that. They have good heads on their shoulders, and they're not getting arrested for shooting up the club or whatever, and that helps reduce the amount of time I have to babysit. So.
Well, Dave's never had that, right?
No, never, right?
What's funny
Sports.
is that Lee fired Plexico Burris, and it was weeks after, and he fired him because he saw poor choices around who he was surrounding and what he was doing. And it was only a matter of weeks when he shot himself at a club by carrying a gun in his pocket. But it's interesting because I think as a coach, you take on babysitting or parental posturing. And you care so much, especially if you have big clients. You care so much. But it's the same as I cannot be accountable for what my kids ultimately do. I've learned through sports agency to be a good parent because what my job is to do is to present the circumstances and situational knowledge. So, no names. I had a client that was doing something in Atlanta, and he wanted me to arrange 20 rooms at a hotel. And it was my job to inform him what good is going to come from that. Right? Like, what are you? Not,
what do you think's going to happen?
No judgment, bro.
Rooms?
And he ended up doing it. He ended up doing it and getting arrested.
Sure.
The same way that we could tell our kids, don't do this. Here's your choice. You can try this, and this can end in this, or you try it, and it could end in this. Your timing and risk tolerance. And so when I got to the position of understanding I can't, just like you can't make someone be successful,
Right.
My job is at least let them know. Working with the NFL, they used to provide town cars for free. And they couldn't understand why guys still got DUIs pre-Uber. And I said, it's not the town cars. They can afford the town cars.
Right.
The problem is you're not teaching them to make a plan before they go out. So in the case I may actually end up drinking, why don't I make an arrangement with the NFL for a car before I go out?
Yeah.
Not know that I can call anytime and get a free car. That doesn't solve the problem because we don't make good choices when we're drunk.
Right. Yeah.
We
Very
do make
true.
good choices before we get drunk.
Sure.
And if we even have a slight chance of having one drink, I've always said, hey, dude, it's free.
Right.
Make a plan to have the car pick you up.
Yeah.
And so that's the distinction. And it's difficult whether you're a parent, a babysitter, or an agent. and especially difficult when you've given the options and they choose the wrong one, but at least you gave them the options.
Well, I think
Well,
that was a
that's-
big piece.
ahead.
I love that you give the option. So I think, I mean, the world is full of bad agents. But if you have a good agent who at least is looking out for your best interests, not controlling you, but at least telling you, look, what good do you think is going to come of this? I think then you're able to allow your client to make choices. Hopefully you've chosen, which I love that too. You've chosen clients that make.
Andre Flewellen, who we all know,
great.
came down to the mat. Andre, I told him you don't, because from my own personal experience, I wish I had someone telling me not to buy my Lambo. And I said, here's your options if you buy a Lambo. And he said, I'm buying this, David, kind of like Taste Sweat, right? To show kids. He said, I'm buying it because it motivates me to make more money. Like,
Yeah.
I look at that and it motivates me not to quit because I got to make that payment and I want more stuff like that. I'm like, okay, then that's your choice. But, that thing, you don't drive it, it's going to break. You drive it too little, too much, it's going to break, and it's expensive when it breaks.
It's going to break.
People think you're an
going to
asshole.
break. It's a
People
Lambo.
think you're an asshole for driving it. But don't listen to me, dude, if it motivates you. Okay.
I think to kind of wrap it all up, because I love what you said before when we were talking about talent and finding those people. Obviously, there's a balance of them having that desire to be what they can be, right? Like you said, really going after it, but also playing in this, game of entertainment. And so I think for you, how have you found that you're able to help them manage that people help manage that balance? Because I think even as entrepreneurs, we have difficulty and struggle with that, being who we can be, but also playing in the entrepreneurial ground, right? So how do you help people balance that to ensure that you get them these contracts, you get them these endorsements, and they continue to go down that road of being who they should be?
Yeah, I think it's important for people to have good mentors in their lives in terms of, we've talked about financial responsibility. I always encourage my clients to have good business managers in their life that are, again, looking after their best interests and teaching them the ins and outs of fiscal responsibility and taking care of their money. I think that's a big part of being able to stay in the game and pursue that, more success is taking care of what you have. So that for me is a big part of it. Also, just knowing that not every opportunity is right for you, and it's okay if this particular opportunity you didn't get it. We talk about abundance a lot in this group.
Yeah.
And there are abundant opportunities out there, and we just have to stay tapped into the source, and we'll find the right opportunities.
I love that.
What I like about the best agents in the world, and I've worked with them and I know them, like Landon, they will let you live in abundance, and living in abundance is making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and being blessed enough to have a lot of fun doing it, which is quite easy in entertainment and sports. We are blessed to be here at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas, the poker room. It opens today, and we'll be blessed to be here with the biggest names, the billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas. Come and join us in the poker room. We are blessed to be here with the podcast and the playbook.